All right, guys. Welcome back to another. Do we need a name for this? Is it like talking TOC? Is the
Yeah.
alliteration, does that work, Mike?
Talk shop, like TOC.
Oh, token up.
Token up. There you go. Token up.
There
That's
you go.
great. A plus.
We'll each get our big TOC branded bongs and take a big rip.
Listen, when merch, when utility.
Yes, mile 10. That's right. We're just settling in. We're gonna do splash play after this at 2:30, and then have a meeting at 4 as well. So it is
Technically, you got to be keeping in last night's stream too, because you appeared, I believe it was technically the next day in a stream last night. And for people that just want like a little shot of comedy into the arm, a little booster shot of comedy, just go check out the last like 20 minutes of Plunge Father's stream last night. It was A plus.
I swung by that one pretty drunk after the Establish the Run holiday Zoom party. For better or worse. Shout out to Plunge. Best of luck in his new gig at Coinbase. But we are here to talk TOC this week. If you were ever a week to be super thankful for the TOC structure, it's this one, because all these players being scratched, coming in and out. Sure. Does it shift the projections a little bit in one direction? Yeah, a little bit if you're losing some of these high end guys. But for the most part, we don't have to deal with all the insanity that you do on a player level.
No, that is kind of nice that you're not paying it. I mean, you're still paying attention, but like, at least you're not screwed at like 104 when all of a sudden, I don't know, just somebody is like pulled to the sideline being like, oh, the test might have just come back. So it is kind of nice knowing that. Pete, I get a question though, like, and we don't have to answer it right away. We can wait till we get to like our projection part, but is this a week where I don't have to run out the Baltimore quarterback? I would love to take a week off from this, Pete.
I mean, if Lamar Jackson's taking the week off, then I would say you definitely have permission to not use it. But I mean, how much were you listening to? Because when I was just on with JM DeWitt and he was talking about Lamar Jackson, he's like, he breaks the slate more than 1 out of 80 times.
Well, on one hand, I feel like one of the sharpest minds in the fantasy community then, with the amount of times I've run out Lamar Jackson. On the other hand, my bank account's furious.
Yeah, we'll get into it this week for strategy and what we kind of think the optimal way to attack this slate is. And we can just start right at the top. I mean, this is a super bad slate just from a scoring perspective. Mm-hmm. You can go look at the totals for Sunday. All of them are down across the board. The biggest spreads are actually like blowout potential games, Cardinals over Detroit, not seeing a lot of competitive high scoring games. And that's why I think the Thursday night stuff is actually even more interesting than normal, because that was by far the best game of the slate. It did deliver, going 8 points over the projected 54-point over-under. And I'll pull up the points from last night. Everyone knows about Kelsey, but I think we have to have some conversations about the potential viability of some of these other spots.
Well, and that's what I was going to say, because when I first looked at, and shout out Own the Moment the Owners Club for sending this over to us this morning. When I first looked at this, like, I knew we were going to have to play Kelsey if you had him. But I was like, oh, outside of Mahomes, I don't think we have to play anybody else. Like, I don't know if we need to play either wide receiver. I don't know if we have to play a running back. We probably can fade the defenses. But then I was like, I started looking at the slate. And I was like, man, I don't know. Like, is the Chargers 25 from their running back enough to be in an optimal, right? If you ran out the case and like even the Chargers wide receiver, is that like viable? Because are we going to have these like monster scoring performances,
Yeah, and my snap take is I don't think I would use the wide receivers, but I am with you. I think that 25.6 at running back is, I think it's viable.
Yeah.
And I know that might be, it's tough. I don't actually have the Chargers running back, so I'm not going to be faced with that decision. And we'll pull up projections in a set. But the other best projecting backfields, you have Indianapolis, Cleveland, Denver, Minnesota, Tennessee. I still think it's one of those things where if your primary goal is getting first place, that 25.6 is probably not your best line to take, but could a lineup win first place you would need that and Kelsey, the Chiefs tight end, and then maybe you're getting really unique around it. But I guess I am just readjusting for how unique this slate is.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that Kansas City, like if you have the quarterback tight end, I saw a loose comment too. I listened to my Kelsey, but no bites yet. Don't worry, Lou. I'll find a way. I'll find a way to get one in the marketplace. But yeah, I mean, I think just that starting point of that QB, Kansas City QB, Kansas City tight end, Los Angeles running back. I mean, you're in like really good shape, and I don't know. I mean, you still are going to have to thread a needle, but I just don't see. I don't see another tight end. I don't see another quarterback outscoring them. You know.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And so DJ Local mentions here you can start at 122 without a DST. The optimal lineup would be right now, all the guys from last night, and then like Miami defense projects for 9.5. So that would get you up to about 133.5 optimal lineup. And if you are building without these pieces, that's the score you need to beat. I do think it's going to be very, very hard to win this week, first place without a KC tight end.
Yeah.
I think you're plenty live for top 10 finishes without him, but I would bet a lot of money that the winning roster has KC tight end on it.
Yeah, this is like the one, and because of how expensive that tight end is, anyways, it is a little bit of a bummer trying to build this week if you don't have one. Because, I mean, I guess that on the one hand, it's very freeing because you can get weird and fire some darts because you know you have to hit a crazy high ceiling just to get there. So I guess there's that if we want to be glass half full.
And just to kind of give people perspective, we mentioned the optimal right now at 133.5. You know, last week, the score that took it down, the main event was 169. Very nice. In week 13, the top score was 166. And, you know, in week 12, let's see what it was here just to get a sample size, 147. So a little lower scoring week there, but it gives you an idea of, if you are just jamming the optimal, I do think you're sacrificing too much because there's gonna be a couple other combos that pass that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You're gonna have to get a little bit different, a little bit more different than that.
Yeah. So let's yeah. So I think we're in agreement. Kansas City QB, Kansas City tight end. Those are the ones you can definitely roll out. I think if you had a Los Angeles running back, if your goal is just to cash and really try to put together high floor lineups, I think it's usable. If your goal is a first place finish, I probably wouldn't be using anything else.
No, I'm with you. Wow, I was looking right now. The cheapest Kansas City tight end is $224 right now.
Jeez. Yeah, and Mike, you have a history of falling in love with these Thursday night guys. And I should say, this week we're getting more information than we usually do because we have 2 Saturday games and lineup still locked correct on Sunday. So we're still going to get a lot more information. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see another position group crack this optimal by Sunday AM.
Well, and that's why I think some people, you know, in my DMs congratulating me for not spending on a Kansas City tight end yet. And I just say, wait till Saturday because I want as much information as I can get before I decide to make any move. I'm not buying a $224 Kansas City tight end. I will just punt this week if that's the case. But I do. You're right. We're going to get so much more information, which is going to make it, I feel like it's going to make it easier to get different on Sunday, right? It'll be easier because of all the information that's out there and the guaranteed points and people just trying to get cashes. I think like we'll have a really good idea of what's going to be played and what we can do to be different on Sunday. It's just going to be that Kansas City tight end score is just like a monster, you know? So it's going to be hard to overcome that.
Yeah, it is. It is tough. It's not impossible, but it is tough. And I do think, you should, like you were joking about the Lamar stuff, and it's not the perfect example this week because he hasn't been practicing. Yeah. But in general, I do think you should be looking for, you know, these more contrarian paths to beat these, because a lot of people are going to slice and dice this KC QB tight end in a lot of different ways.
Well, and if you don't have the Kansas City tight end, I think you can still get away with playing the Kansas City quarterback. I don't think you can play the Chargers running back. I don't think you can play any other piece from this if you don't have the Kansas City tight end. Does that make sense? Because I think a lot of people will, if you have the tight end and the Chargers running back, you're like, let's just accumulate as many points as we can before Sunday, like eliminate some of this equation. But if you don't have the tight end, like, there's just no reason to play the Chargers running back, in my opinion. Like, because if that is already going to be a popular thing, let's find another way to, because that's where we're going to have to make up ground.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It is, it's just so hard at tight end. Like, to give you guys an example, you see the tight end projections, the median projections most week. The second highest, or the highest now, is Tampa Bay tight end at 14.5. And KC doubled that up. So it's going to be really, really hard to close that gap. I mean, that's a score that's like a solid running back score,
Yeah.
at the tight end position.
I looks like I'm going back to the Huntley Andrews combo. I think that's Andrews cooked a little bit harder with Huntley. So, I mean, I think in TOC sent us something. I think this isn't the most highest scoring number, right? I believe Mark Andrews gets a 32 points or something like that a few weeks back. So it is possible. It is possible.
Yep. And there's honestly some good candidates to do it this week. Obviously, Tampa Bay tight end always has a chance. George Kittle has just been going insane. I mean, if George Kittle has a week like he has the past two, he'll be up there. And then I would say I'll toss Miami tight end in the conversation for that ceiling this week, just without Waddle. We've seen Gesicki have some pretty high target games. I mean, he's not quite on the, Kittle or Kelsey type talent level, nor does he have kind of the offensive juggernaut behind him like Tampa Bay. But I think he's live to put up a score like that.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think, and even DJ Local saying Miami tight end. Yeah, I like that one quite a bit. I think that that gives us a chance at upside, at least a chance at upside. Did O'Shaughnessy get like hit by Urban Meyer or anything in the locker room? Is there any sort of like freedom narrative we can use? This is first week without without Urban.
That's the thing too. I was saying, because I was looking at some of the best deals in the marketplace relative to their projection, and Jacksonville is popping. And I actually like the Jacksonville running back. Before I came on the show, $7.39 for that, and then Jacksonville DST, $7. Obviously, both running back and defense in a really good spot against the Texans. But to your point, I wouldn't be messing with Jags tight end, because even O'Shaughnessy, he's like kind of gotten there from a PPR standpoint. Like he would need to score 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, that's not the ceiling guy.
This is an interesting piece of news here. Damian Harris ruled out. He had gotten in limited practices with the hamstring, so that's a surprise scratch there.
Yeah, I know. That game is weird this week. The point spread is surprising to me. I'm curious with that. Whatever. We got Ramondre Stevenson. So just let him cook anyways. We'll be fine.
Yeah. Before we pull up the projections, let's talk about the Saturday games, because again, it's the same dynamic as the Thursday games, as we'll get this information before we have to set our lineups. Browns Raiders. It sounds like, that game could just be super gross with a lot of the Browns players on COVID. And then Patriots Colts could be interesting, although I would say most of the most desired TOC cards in that game are already pretty expensive. Is there any Saturday marketplace prep you would consider for these two games?
Honestly, all 4 defenses. Those are the only things. Like that Cleveland game and the Raiders game. I don't love the Raiders defense, but I mean, like, nobody would be surprised if the Browns put up 6 points with Case Keenum, right? Like, that wouldn't be a surprising thing. And same thing, the Browns defense. I know they're just completely overrun by COVID right now, but the Raiders going into Cleveland, like a cold weather game, they also, I mean, I'm not sure how hard the Raiders are trying, right? Not that they're not trying, but you know what I mean? Like, they don't look great right now. So I wouldn't be surprised by either of those. And same thing with New England, Indy. I could see that being a slower paced game.
Yeah. And just looking at prices, so the market is kind of ahead of this, because Cleveland DST is $32. Low ask on Las Vegas DST is $35. To me, the speculation on one of those defenses breaking the slate is not worth that price tag, when I could buy 5, Jacksonville Jags defenses for the same price.
There you go. Just become a Jags D whale.
Yeah. So I don't know. I always think there's like a risk reward kind of proposition there. I think, in previous weeks, I have scooped a defense that's sub $10, just knowing that it could be a really good bargain if they get 2 DST scores. But on this one, I don't think I'm going to buy either of those at those price tags.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I didn't look at the price tag, but it's just trying to think of like what type of plays could pop on Saturday that I could see on Sunday morning. People being like, "Oh my god!" Like the Patriots had, like Carson Wentz just implodes for a couple pick sixes or something like that. That's something that I could see being a problem for people. I also didn't realize this. Oh, Garrett Gilbert's with Washington, isn't he? Didn't he get scooped up by Washington or something?
I thought he got signed today.
Yeah,
to be their starting quarterback.
Yeah. But Mullins. Okay, so Mullins is the one that's going for Cleveland, not Case Keenum. My bad.
Yeah. Dominique says he bought Philly Eagles DST. I don't mind that at all. It looked like they were around $21. Jags even actually projected better than Eagles. So they're still, I think, the premier value, but Eagles DST in play. And then I'd also toss out Vikings defense is at $10. I think that one's fine too.
I like that one. But yeah, I don't see anything else from Saturday, right? The thing that kind of bums me out is I imagine, right, if you had Mahomes and you had Kelsey or the quarterback and tight end, and you also had the Colts running back, if that game was on Sunday, that is probably getting rolled out in every one of those lineups, right? And so by it being on Saturday, it bums me out a little bit because like they'll have that information before. Like I feel like that would have been like the Colts running back failing would have been a way to catch up to some of the field, like in a Kelsey lineup. But now they're already going to have that information. So bums me out a little bit.
Yeah, it does. And it sets up an interesting dynamic too with just because I don't know. My gut read is as much as I think Jonathan Taylor is incredible. Like I don't think it's hard for any skill position players to put up monster crooked scores on the Patriots just the way they play defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be Jack Doyle season. There's your call Saturday. Jack Doyle season. Mo Alley Cox. Those are the guys. Those are the guys that are going to cook for the Colts.
Yeah, I like this take from Chris. And this one's actually interesting to me because when I pulled in the projections, they weren't projecting super well, but they are now expected to have both Chase Edmonds and James Conner available. They have the biggest spread on the main slate Sunday. So yeah, I think Arizona Cardinals running back is a nice play.
I mean, Connor's looked explosive the last couple of weeks too. Like he's looked really good.
Yeah.
I feel like you talk about him every week too. Like every Sunday, James Conner, it gets brought up in a stream of yours.
Yeah, he's been, I think people, I don't know, from a psychological perspective, his price tag's been like up there kind of priced with, say, the Joe Mixons of the world. And people kind of just still have a connotation of him not as a bell cow back. But I feel like that edge might be over after his, Monday Night Football, where he had those sick one-handed catches and just destroyed.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible.
All right. Should we pull up some projections here and we can just start seeing what might be interesting to us? And again, I will mention, I know I said at the top of the stream that we're less impacted by COVID stuff with TOC scoring settings. However, I will still say, I mean, I would expect a lot of these projections to shift even over the next 48 hours.
Yeah, I would think so. It doesn't seem like we're going to stop getting positive results. So continue to pay attention to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, right at the top end, this does already include, obviously, the scores from last night. You see that optimal projection that I mentioned right now at 133.5. Let's go maybe just position by position, try to see which of these teams could threaten to beat KC QB here. Just by projections, Buffalo, Arizona, Tampa Bay. Is there anyone else that you would toss in that mix that could outscore 37.6?
I'm looking at Baltimore there in like the top 7 or 8. I think Philly's pretty interesting. Just because of the game environment of that. Like I know that comment was saying that the Philly running back pops a little bit because of that, right? Like assuming that Philly's going to run all over Washington, but I think Jalen Hurts does that too, right? So I think that's pretty intriguing. I mean, I don't know if you want to pair them. I just don't see a ceiling of the Miami quarterback with I really like your Miami tight end call. I just don't see the quarterback putting up enough in there. I mean, Rodgers, right? Green Bay, I feel like can put up 30 at any point. I don't know.
Yeah. The only thing about that is it's just, it's a tough spot against the Ravens. It seems like, I mean, that game has a 43.5 over under. I mean, that's so gross.
It is so gross. Here, I got one more for you. What about Seattle?
Yeah.
Because I know, and we don't know what we have with Lockett yet, right? But
he's on COVID. He's technically eligible with these new rules to come back, but I don't think we'll know until Sunday.
But who are they playing again? Why am I blanking on this? They're the Rams, right? And the entire city of LA is in COVID protocol right now, right? Like Rams are. I just feel like if they're not running out, they were like full defensive unit. I don't know. Maybe we get into a little shootout.
Yeah. And you're going to have to pick your spots as far as I do agree with you as far as like which games actually have the potential to shoot out. It's really hard to find them. I do think Seattle LAR is one of the best candidates. And then like the two other games with the highest projected totals, it's Arizona 47.5 over under, but they're 13-point favorites. And then San Francisco Atlanta has a 46-point over under, and San Francisco's 9.5-point favorite. So I think I would love ideally to have a piece of Arizona or San Francisco in most of my lineups.
I like that. Also, is it you're more hand in the dirt than I am. Is San Francisco's secondary beatable?
I think so. Yeah.
So I mean, like if Atlanta has any shot of staying in this game, it's probably because, and I'm not saying I want to play the Atlanta quarterback, but it's because they're chucking, right? So I don't know. Maybe this is, Atlanta running back again, which always has a weird ceiling because of Patterson and Davis combined. The wide receivers scare the hell out of me. Maybe it's just the Atlanta tight end. I don't know, but it just feels like if they have any chance, it's going to be high scoring.
Yeah, I don't think you have to force any kind of bring back with those, like I think it would be perfectly viable to play, Cardinals, QB wide receiver, no bring back, however you're slicing San Francisco. I don't think you need to mess with it. It is, I guess, just by pure projection, Atlanta tight end is there. But I mean, Josh Hermsmeyer redacted Kyle Pitts from the air yards by low model because he's there every week. Like he just based on his role, he projects well, but it just, that team is so broken that you almost want to, I know better it.
Man, does this mean we're playing the Saints quarterback? Like I'm trying to find anyone that has a ceiling. I don't really want to do that either.
The other one that I think I would consider rolling out in the main event would be a Dallas stack versus the Giants.
Ooh, okay. I like that. And you don't need a bring back there, right? You just let that run.
Yeah, I would do QB wide receiver there, Dallas 10.5-point favorites. They've been slowly kind of shifting a little bit away from the run too, so you could see a pretty pass heavy game plan there. And I think it's like it's kind of a similar version to, because I guess what would you rather run out? An Arizona stack or a Dallas stack? Because Arizona QB projects better, but Dallas wide receiver projects better than Arizona.
I think I'd do Dallas stack. I think I would. I think, I don't know, right? Maybe the Giants get up for this. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting too excited about that. But yeah, I think I would. I don't know. I just don't trust the Atlanta. I feel like the Atlanta tight end could get one. We've seen him check down to the Atlanta running backs quite a bit. Arizona running backs. I just don't trust that the Arizona wide receiver gets there as much as I trust. Like, okay, here we go. Kyler can get a ceiling without the Arizona wide receivers getting a ceiling. I don't think Dak can get a ceiling without the Cowboys wide receivers getting a ceiling.
I 100% agree with that take. And that's why I actually think even more so than usual, this is not a TOC bring back week. And I do think you could think through combinations like that where I would not use Dallas QB and Dallas running back together, but I think it's completely viable with Arizona having the biggest implied team total on the slate to use Arizona QB and Arizona running back together. I think that would be perfectly viable.
I like that. I feel like that ceiling is more likely than the wide receiver ceiling. Not more likely, but I like that. It's going to be a little bit more unique too.
Yeah. And Chris mentioning, DeAndre Hopkins out, but the offense hasn't really changed that much this year without him. They've kind of been operating similarly when he's been in and out.
With this, we always have this conversation. I was going to say, with how gross this week is this a week that we care less about stacking or more about stacking?
So to me, it's the way, and I normally approach this similar for DFS, is when it's gross, you want to lean into the correlation because it's
Okay.
less likely that multiple games are going to devolve into shootouts. Where if, let's just say, the Lions happen to be able to push the Cardinals a bit, the Cardinals could be the only team to score, 35 points
Right.
on this slate. And at which case, I wouldn't be surprised to see an onslaught stack featuring the one team. It could be San Francisco with theirs. It could be Dallas. Like I could see a QB, wide receiver, tight end from one of these teams that are big favorites all being in an optimal.
I like that. Yeah. So I'm thinking if you're like building 3 main event lineups, I'm taking like 3 very unique approaches at this probably, where I'm just going to pick 3 different games and be like, well, not 3 different games, but like 3 different stacks and be like, let's just hope this is the one.
Yeah. And as Lou says, this is going to be a banner week for low ball scores.
It's fantastic.
One other thing I saw Chris say here that he bought the Arizona running back, which I like a lot, but I will say the best value I saw at running back in the marketplace was the Denver running back. It projects for here, the 4th best on the slate. It's $26.45. And I love the Denver running back too, because it's so split. They're leaning on the run so much between Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams. You can capture those points any which way. The only knock on it is just this game environment. Pat Thorman has this as a pace down game. But as far as like projection and how they're running the offense, like I love that Denver backfield.
Yeah, I like that too. And I was going to say, I know it's a pace down game, but I feel like it's a pace down game for the Bengals, but the way the Broncos play, I feel like anytime they play anyone else, it's pace up for them. Meaning, you know what I mean? Like I think like the Bengals are very beatable on both sides. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, I wouldn't be stunned if they popped off.
Yeah. Thank you, SB Mitchell. Mike and I will go buy a Jags defense in the marketplace with your tip. Very, very nice of you. Glad you guys enjoy this. We do this every week. We alternate on my channel or over on the Team Hold channel with Mike, which is where we will be next week. And Mike also, if you guys aren't aware, does a ton of Top Shot content over there, daily streams. So do check out Team Hold if you haven't yet.
There we go.
Let's go to running back. We mentioned Arizona. We mentioned Denver. Are there any other of these running backs here? I would say running back is wide open this week. I mean, if you told me that 10 different teams were live to have the top score, I would buy that.
Well, and I don't know if you brought this up just in our chat or if you brought it up on stream already, because we talked about Jacksonville a little bit, but new coach, a lot of conversation around how like they haven't been using James Robinson at all, and like a decent matchup against Houston, which I know gets beat by the pass a little bit better than the run. I don't know. What are they, 5-point favorites or something like that? I feel like James Robinson could be sneaky. If you're trying to pick somebody up off the marketplace, that feels like a sharp move. When you see the projection difference between Jacksonville and right now the information we got from the Chargers, like an 8-point swing. I don't know. I could see it.
Do you know what's interesting about these projections relative to DFS is James Robinson projects very, very well. But Sony Michel projects very similar too. And yet we see a pretty big gap. And again, the rankings or the projections I was looking at for DFS or PPR and their ceiling projections compared to this. So there is some extra stuff there, but we talked about liking that game. And if we were to talk about like a bring back or a correlation game, like I would be willing to use multiple pieces in that Los Angeles Seattle game. And I think Los Angeles running back, I might IKB it relative to this projection because I like that game. And I think whether it's Michelle or Henderson, I think they do want to establish it.
Wow. So you're saying like Seattle quarterback, Seattle wide receiver, and then coming back with the or.
Yeah, whatever different combos you have, like I do think it would be fine to have, 3 different pieces of that game and just play it as a shootout.
Yeah, I like that. I like it mainly too because it's creating a blueprint of a shootout, right? And that's what we're like trying to isolate a game that we think could go nuts to catch up to some of the point totals that we've already seen from Kansas City and the Chargers. So I like that.
I'm trying to see here any other, like we were mentioning the teams with the big implied team totals. Obviously San Francisco running back, I think, is another one that has maybe a higher ceiling than that median projection suggests. It seems like Eli Mitchell might not play, but in a really good matchup, I don't even know if that matters that much. They're just going to run the ball so much.
Yeah. Yeah. That one makes sense. Tennessee running back is projecting really well, huh? For 21
Yeah.
points.
And I think that might be a product of how run heavy they are. And you got to, last week, it's basically, you have now McNichols, Foreman, and Hilliard that were getting work. I think it was Hilliard's work mostly came in garbage time, but I assume they're projecting a little bit better just because they have 3 guys that have been involved.
That makes sense. That does make sense. I was just surprised to see him that high up.
That is actually, though, when we were talking about, and I was just talking to JM to win on the strategy show of like, what are the games that have maybe a higher range of scoring outcomes than the total would suggest? And I do feel like that Tennessee Steelers game could get a little wonky.
I like that call. I like that call too. Well, I feel like we've seen Tennessee do that so many times too. Like where all of a sudden they're in a shootout game. I feel like they have like big play potential all the time. So, and which will just speed up the game. So I like that. I like that call. And then you identified too when we get to the wide receiver about Pittsburgh being like a sneaky cheap buy as well, right? In the marketplace. I think that was on your list of things.
Which team?
Pittsburgh. I'm just thinking of that like same game environment.
Pittsburgh wide receiver who projects really well. Yeah, let's transition over to wide receiver. They're $31 in the marketplace. And the tough thing about them is like you don't want to roll out Big Ben, but Pittsburgh would be the perfect guy to pair with, say, like a Philly QB, I think. If you're rolling out Hurts.
Yeah. Because you do like, right, the Philly QB, Tennessee running back, and Pittsburgh wide receiver. That's like a nice start to a build that has like real ceiling and the little mini correlation between the running back and the wide receiver. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it sets up just perfectly with Philly where a lot of the production does go to the tight end. Hurts can get there on his own rushing. He can check down and throw touchdown passes to Sanders or Gainwell. And so it's pretty clear to see how that could find a ceiling without the wide receivers. And it's very clear how the Pittsburgh wide receivers can find a ceiling without Big Ben.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Any other, wide receivers here? I think, looking at, you can see which cards I hold in bold here. I mean, obviously I'm going to be running out a Buffalo stack.
Well, it's funny. We haven't even talked about really Buffalo either. And I feel like that's definitely a stack, that Buffalo quarterback wide receiver that could, come close to what we saw last night. Right.
For sure. I mean, we know that they have that ceiling. We saw Josh Allen get pushed last week, have a massive game at home versus the Panthers, who, they've had a decent pass rush, but they're kind of a team in shambles right now. And there's just no reason the Bills also, like, you want to get into narrative theory. I mean, coming off of 2 really bad losses, like they have to ball out here.
Mm-hmm. They got to win. And like just to make the playoffs or like secure their spot. They absolutely need to win. So I like that.
And their season, just like both probably literally and morally, like if they lose, then heading into a road game against the Patriots next week, I mean, they have to get up for this game.
Yeah. I like it. And I mean, I don't know, are people a little down on them right now? Like, are we going to see less of them in the main event too, with the scores that we've already gotten in their recent performances? I don't know if that becomes like more of a unique play, but I guess if you have it, you're running it out.
Yeah, I think right now looking at this, I'm going to be pretty straight up. Buffalo stack, Arizona stack, Dallas stack, I think is probably what my 3 main event teams are going to be. QB, wide receiver of those teams.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was trying to think about it while we were doing it. And knowing that I have the Joker too, I'll wait for the Rams information and see like who's in and who's out, but maybe rolling out a Ram stack, a Cowboy stack. And I kind of have talked myself into this maybe a Philly quarterback to the Philly tight end with the Tennessee running back and the Pittsburgh wide receiver. I've kind of talked myself into that line, I think, as well.
Yeah, I like that. Let's move over to tight end. We kind of were touching at it at the top of like which of these positions could realistically outscore KC. We mentioned Tampa Bay, San Francisco, and then honestly, like Miami and Baltimore are probably the only other fringe candidates that can actually get to 31 points. I really don't think any of these other groups can do it.
No, I mean, like, yeah, I don't see Denver hasn't shown that. I mean, Atlanta, you would think would have that ceiling, but we just haven't seen it. And then there's
Denver,
not, yeah.
well, and even I think too, the conversation is like, okay, Denver's like a Tampa Bay light for tight ends, right? Where they have two talented guys in Noah Fant and Albert O, and Tampa Bay has a pretty talented tight end group. But to get these crooked scores, you do really need the Kittle, the Kelsey this week, maybe Gesicki, maybe Andrews, just going nuclear as an individual.
Yeah, I think so. Right. And yeah, I was going to say, unless it's the Tampa Bay, right? Because if Tampa Bay gets there, I don't think it's because Gronk has gone for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's probably because he's caught 2, Brate's caught 1, something like that, right?
Right. I agree. Yeah. If Tampa Bay outpaces it, it's probably going to be, 65% Gronk, 35 the other guys. Whereas if San Francisco tight end gets there, like with all, due respect to Ross Dwelly or whoever, it's going to be George Kittle.
Yeah, please, with all due respect. Right.
I would say this week, more than any week, we're going to have so many viable defenses. And I'm just going to guess there's going to be about like 15 defenses that I won't think are bad plays, just relative to their chance to get defensive touchdowns.
Yeah. And I mean, I think similarly to DFS, right, where you don't want to play chalk defenses, I think that's kind of how I would approach this too. I mean, I don't know how I would gain a feel for like what the ownership is going to be on this, but if everyone is circling around the Miami and Dallas, then I'm probably going to try to find something else, like your Jacksonville call, right? I don't think many people are rolling out a Jacksonville defense. So something like that.
It was interesting you said that, because I was curious, like, okay, obviously there's different pricing dynamics on a DFS slate, but we have some early indication about chalk defenses and what people would like. Miami defense, I think, will be consistently popular on both DFS and TOC, but I do think there's a disparity between Jacksonville defense and DFS where they project well. But I think, I'm just guessing, people still kind of have a negative connotation of, I don't want to use the Jacksonville defense in a lineup.
No, I'm sure it'll be used in Lowball, right? Like if there was like a way to filter out just one team so it doesn't pop up, I imagine people would do that for Jacksonville when building their main event lineups. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be super popular.
Yeah. And so there's just going to be so many options this week to target, bad quarterbacks. And so I thought, whoever in the chat earlier mentioned Philadelphia DST, very much in play. Any of these teams with big totals, Dallas, Arizona, San Francisco. There's so much room here for defenses to put up big numbers.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you just throw some darts.
For sure here. Like I said, normally maybe I look at the projections and I don't even feel the need to go buy Jacksonville, even though I think they're a great value, because it's like, I'm just going to play Arizona DST and just be fine with it.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think you need to go crazy. I mean, look at that. The difference in projections is just like 6 total points. It's nuts.
Yeah. It's going to be a gross week, but a fun week. Should we build a couple lineups here to wrap up?
Let's do it.
Do you want to share your screen? I feel like we talked about some of my stacks here.
Yeah. Let's do it. Here. Make sure a Kansas City tight end hasn't popped up since we started.
Here we go.
All right, cool.
This is where Mike swears he has a KC tight end, but it's actually not in his account.
Here we go. Unfortunately, this populates alphabetically, so I've got 2 Baltimore quarterbacks staring me straight in the face. But no, I don't know. I think the Dallas one stood out. I mean, I do have the Kansas City one there, but I don't really want to build with that right now, only because if I run this Kansas City quarterback out, it's not really going to be correlated. It's going to be on its own. So
I don't think that's necessarily bad though. No, because I think of it, you can think of it through the same reason you'd use Philly QB with
that's true.
Pittsburgh wide receiver. Like, you're just banking already those points.
That's true too. So now we're just trying to find ceiling here, right? So we've got a couple of Atlantas, the Cincinnati, the Dallas, the Cleveland. There's that Jacksonville, Green Bay. I know you said we talked about the Rams a little bit, and then we've got some Vikings action. And then there's the Tennessee one. We did talk about Tennessee as well.
You know what? A running back crew we didn't talk about that I'll even toss in that I saw in your cards. Miami against the Jets, and they're getting both Ahmed and Gaskin back this week.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're in play.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Not my favorite, but I think they're in play.
I don't hate that. We didn't really talk about the Minnesota game at all either. I don't know.
Dominique asked about that.
Yeah, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that one in particularly, if they stood out one way or the other.
No, is that that's the Monday night game, right?
It's against the Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah,
I think I always like Minnesota running back. Seems like no Adam Thielen again. We just saw what it's been like a 10-day layoff because Dalvin Cook played on Thursday Night Football last week.
Yeah.
I think Minnesota running back is certainly in the conversation.
I just saw Lou's comment. No, I didn't. I swear. I didn't. I didn't. Although everyone is now DMing me because apparently Rakeback is happening on Top Shot.
No way. Are you serious?
So that was the announcement. To celebrate the holiday season, we were proud to announce a one-time gift back event happening this weekend for existing fans. We're dropping a Dapper balance as a huge thank you. Took a snapshot as of Wednesday and we'll be gifting 5% of your all-time net spend directly to your Dapper.
Wow. Holy cow.
Wow. Top Shot's back.
I'm going to have to talk with some of my my fractional owners here too about get my little 5% of that Nikola Jokic cosmic over there.
That's right. All right. I don't know. So if we're just looking for ceiling, right? Because I got to surpass both the Chargers running back and the tight end. I don't know. Is it the Minnesota running back? Is that like the highest ceiling there? I mean, Cleveland's also interesting. Like you imagine they're trying to just jam it down the Raiders' throat. They're not like letting Nick Mullins cook.
Yeah. I think that I like that. Yeah. I think Cleveland, I mean, it's honestly might even be an addition by subtraction with not having Hunt, because if you get Chubb's just more capable of explosive plays. And we want that guy. I mean, he's as good of a rusher as Jonathan Taylor. Give that guy 30 carries. Like he's going to put up some nice numbers.
Yeah, I think so. I'm with that.
Here, the funny thing is you're going to know, right? Because that game's Saturday.
We will. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. So we don't even have to. We don't have to look stupid. So we have Tampa Bay tight end or Baltimore tight end. I mean, Pittsburgh tight end too. We didn't talk about that one either. That's I feel like that has 2 touchdown capabilities. Yeah. But I don't know. It's probably Tampa Bay here, right?
I think Tampa Bay.
Yeah. I'm saving the wide receiver for last just because
the drama.
Yeah. Also, let's just look at
how many Miami Dolphins DSTs do you have?
Just watching how many times I've popped off, right? So Miami, we scooped the floor. New England, we got a couple Phillies in here, a couple Pittsburghs. Just a freaking mess.
You're a defensive maxi,
dude. I am, dude. That's the island of misfit toys, man. That's where I thrive.
Goodness. I do think you go Miami.
Yeah, I do too. Let's see. I think we had a low serial one too. No, we don't. All right. So we throw Miami in there. Now here's the question, right? So we'd obviously play the Joker here, right? I do have a Chargers. I do have a Rams one as well. So I don't know. I guess I need someone who's going to hit 40. And I know it looks like Rodgers is a little dinged up too, which makes me a little bit nervous there. So yeah, I mean, is it the Rams? Because if it's the Rams, honestly, I just play the card I have because it's a lower serial.
So this is tough, right? Because if you're just trying to like get the highest ceiling, I do think it's Buffalo wide receiver, but then you have to ask yourself, if Buffalo wide receiver hits, is Buffalo QB going to outscore KC QB? And then do you get beat by those other two? You still have 3 cracks at being unique around that, but that's my only conversation. I'm trying to think. I do think LA would be the other conversation just because we've seen Cooper Kupp put up huge numbers. We like that game. We know that it's unlikely that LA QB is going to outscore KC QB. I think it's Buffalo or LA wide receiver.
And I think because of that, right, this allows me to play this here, and I can still use the Buffalo. I can use the Joker elsewhere too. So like we can still get another crack at Buffalo. But I like this one. I feel like we've secured the upside in the quarterback. where I don't think very often that's going to be surpassed with 38 points, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is live.
Yeah,
Wow.
I agree. Let's see here. I am
You
putting
getting your cosmic? So you're getting that right
no,
back?
no, I was putting your team into my little spreadsheet projection thing to see how this projected, and it projects well.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think this is a smart use of kind of the KC one, and again, because I do think finding the spot that KCQB could outscore whoever you're pairing the wide receiver with, and this is a perfect candidate for that.
Yeah. All right, cool. There we go. So Miami, here we come.
Miami, here we come. We got, what do we have? 2 more weeks to qualify?
Yeah, it's not like I've actually shifted my focus for the playoffs because if you really care about fantasy football in the TOC, like that's the contest to win. Who cares about a live final? And I think Justin confirmed last week that we were gonna go to the Super Bowl for this, so it's worked out great.
When you win a seed, I am gonna clip that up and say, "Who cares about a live final?" And I'm gonna say, "All right, Mike, I guess I have to go in your spot."
That's gonna be our giveaway. We'll spin the wheel for a live final.
Maybe I'll build a lowball lineup and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's see here, because we did say that this is a very fun lowball slate. Let's see here. So I will share this. All right, so lowball here. We're gonna have lots of options. I think my best options would either be Jets QB or Giants QB. Who should I go with?
Who are the Jets playing again?
The Dolphins.
Well, listen, I've got some insider information on one of the New York organizations, and let's just say I would plug the G-men in here.
Okay. All right. Yes, Mike being cagey, but you're not kidding. You actually are familiar with the G-men.
I found out about a couple of positive COVID tests before it was reported this week.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
I had to go get tested myself.
All right. Well, let me know if I need to change this at some point because they're signing like Peyton Manning for a 1-game rental. Running back.
They signed Peyton Manning. Daniel Jones goes to Monday Night Football with Eli.
I think there's a smash running back low ball play this week, and I think it's Carolina running back.
Oh yeah, I love that.
They are huge dogs to the Bills, and
Cam just eats that up, right?
Yeah, so you're looking at, and even if they do get a little bit going, it's probably going to be Abdullah catching passes, which isn't as meaningful in this scoring format. So I love the Panthers for your low ball.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, wide receiver. I don't have what look like some of the best options, which would be Washington wide receiver, Cleveland wide receiver. I would say Atlanta wide receiver and New Orleans would be my best. I kind of lean Atlanta, but I don't know.
Atlanta's just surprised me the last couple of weeks with the points that they've put up, and maybe it's just DK specific, but just seeing like, oh, there we go.
Don't look and get forced in the mouth, FF2.
Poor tea time. 2 weeks in a row has been dunked on for his giveaway. He gave away the first person to ever come on stream and give away a moment, maybe in TOC history.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Just 2 weeks in a row, just reverse slam. Yeah, I don't know. Atlanta's weirdly been getting there lately. I don't know. Maybe Russell Gage, guys, finally unleashed. So I think I would lean what was the other one? New Orleans?
New Orleans, yeah.
I think I would lean New Orleans, but I think both of those are really good plays.
Yeah, I like New Orleans. Based on projections, we also just have an absolute smash tight end play, which is Washington football team.
Yeah. Oh my God, poor Washington. You could probably run out a full Washington like 5-man for the low ball if you had it.
Yeah, you could, and I do think the same thing applies here. And this is actually probably we're kind of building what you would say is like the optimal low ball lineup. But I do think for winning these tournaments, leaning into correlation in the other direction makes a ton of sense because you're going to see a couple of these teams fail big time, and I think you could roll out a defense, a tight end, and a running back from a single team.
Definitely. I this week more than any other, I think you could do that.
And then defense, I think my best defensive card this week would be Lions.
Yeah. Every week. Also, FF Doom is now saying I wasn't slamming him. He's right. He was using it in the low ball. You're right. It was a good moment. It was good. Sorry, FF Doom.
That's right. When Carolina running back wins the low ball contest this week, we all have to show our support to Tea Time.
We're gonna put him on the thumbnail next week.
Guys, we appreciate you hanging out with us. I think maybe next week we'll start to loop in some more kind of playoff specific strategy, because it's almost the time, Mike.
It is. We're gonna let's wait at least till next week so we have a few more days to pack our bags. You know what I'm saying? Like, get active in the marketplace. Follow us on the blockchain if you want the inside alpha.
Well, I do think the marketplace will be really interesting because we're going to have the live final, we're going to have the online final, and then all of that setting up before playoffs. And so there's going to be a lot of people maneuvering for week 17 lineups.
Yeah.
And that could provide some values too for people who are building for the playoffs.
Yeah. And I definitely think so. I also like shout out those guys, because they came out with all of the announcements for what they could share for the future too. And I think that actually probably stopped some wild listings that we might have seen as we got closer to the playoffs. People were like, let me just secure some money so I can like go get some packs next time around or whatever, take it elsewhere. But now with all this information, it seems, looks like my dog was about to just off himself there. He's just like, I can't do this anymore. But that, like, I think it might stop people from unloading in the way that we might have. Like, I felt like we were going to see a fire sale. People like, oh, I didn't get a live final, so I'm out of here. Or all of my all of my teams that didn't make the playoffs. And now I don't know if we're going to see that so much. I wonder if people just hold.
Yeah, I do agree. And obviously someone like Kansas City tight end was the perfect storm for an inflated thing, because you're getting all of the benefits, right? You're getting week 15, you're live. Week 17, they play, I believe it's the Bengals, if I recall, with all my. So that's going to be a really juicy potential shootout. And then they're going to be a great playoff set as well. So you're not going to get discounts on stuff like that. But I do think focusing on some of these, fringe teams that could sneak into the playoffs, there's still some opportunity there for bargains.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right, guys, make sure you're following Mike on Twitter. I have the link down below. Also checking out Team Hold. I'm sure Mike will tell you how to spend your new rakeback Dapper ballots on Top Shot, right, Mike?
Yeah, it's gonna be in NFL all day packs.
That is interesting. We'll have to read kind of what the kind of the caveats there are for how you use. Is it across the Dapper ecosystem, or are we going to be able to go buy ballers on the marketplace?
It said Dapper balance, so okay. I think it's just gonna. I don't even know now. I got to go do some math about what 5% is.
I know I spent $1 million on there. I know I did. Yeah, thank you, Dominique. We will be back every Friday at around 1:15 Eastern. Next week we'll be on the Team Hold channel doing this. Mike, any other final words here?
No, just let's just send me over your Travis Kelce's if you guys are taking the week off,
Yeah. Who wanted to do a giveaway, a Travis Kelce giveaway for just Mike and I? All right. Good luck this week, guys. Stay on top of the news. I said, don't take those projections as gospel. I could see some of that shifting, especially for defenses too. So there's going to be some nice defenses opening up. Be sure to check us out we have TOC channels in both Mike's Team Hold Discord and the Deposit Kingdom. Lots of good strategy talk there. We will see you next time. Peace.